Guys, I want to talk Anthem, man. I mean, I've been overloaded with information here lately on Anthem. Now, I did a poll yesterday. We talked about it. I asked people how they felt about the E3 showcase and, the talks with BioWare as well. And 49% said they were hyped about Anthem. The other 39% said not really. And 12% of you don't even know what the hell Anthem is. I know you're my subscribers, but I'm judging hard over here, man. Now, let's talk Anthem. I'm not going to lie, guys. Yesterday's showcase with Casey Hudson and the rest of the BioWare studio was not informative enough for me. Or not necessarily informative. I was not hyped from that showcase. It was not selling me. Thank God, before I made this video, I listened to Jon Warner, who's the game director at BioWare, and I like what he had to say, man. Everything he said was connecting with me. And I was like, yes, why didn't we get this guy yesterday? Jesus Christ. Now, let me go ahead and build a foundation here for the 12% that don't even know what Anthem is. Imagine Monster Hunter World, Destiny, and Warframe all had a baby. Now, there's some features in all of those games that are similar and some completely different, but I feel like Anthem is drawing from all of those, and hopefully is drawing all the good from all of those, all the best things from those games. Now, there's not a lot of complaints I can say about Monster Hunter World. I had a lot of fun playing it. I don't play it as much anymore because it's just been tied up with other things. Warframe itself has been a fantastic game that's been consistently getting better now for years, and Destiny, yeah. Oh, man, it's just a roller coaster at Destiny, man. But I'm hyped here now because of the DLC coming up in September. I know it costs money, boys. Shit. I wish I could make the stuff free for you. I really do. But damn it, the damn DLC looks good. But let's talk this game, man. Jon Warner, who is now the sole savior of this game for me in terms of my opinion about it, talked all about this game with IGN. I'll link in the description below. You can go check it out yourself, but it's like 20 minutes long, so be ready to dedicate some time to it. But he talked about many of the aspects that we're going to be seeing inside of Anthem. He mentions that there is no class limitations, as in you're not going to be married up to a specific javelin. You want to be a Colossus one day? Great. A Storm the next day? Boom. You could do it. Now, the beautiful thing, the thing that was music to my ears, was that he said you would not need to level up those individual classes. What he means is your pilot is your sole character that will level up, and attaching a new javelin is all you need to do. No need to run through 3 different characters playing the same storyline over and over again. This is beautiful news to me, by the way, guys. I love that. Now, whether or not that pilot level is like one individual numerical value or there's a lot more depth to it, I have no idea. He did not go into that any more than that. Now let's talk about the multiplayer features, guys. Essentially, the game can be played solo, but outside of the storyline, John did say it's highly recommended that you play with friends. Now, if you don't have friends, cool, because it turns out the multiplayer in the game will allow you to bump into other players. So right off the bat, you're going to be looking at a world map that will allow you to see missions that are taking place in the game with players that are actively playing those missions, and you can join up on them. The world will also feature world events that everyone on the server can see. Now, that's another thing that was interesting. They said they're going to have dedicated servers matching everything from weather to superstorms rolling through for all players. Now, to me, I was thinking, okay, world events, some weather changes, is it even going to be noticeable? He claims they are, man. He says that everyone is going to be able to see when a world event is taking place or when a superstorm is hitting. Now, weather sounds cool and all, but really, I mean, some raindrops here and there and maybe a tornado. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, he says that the massive storms will play a big part in you tracking down some creatures, and saying that some creatures will only expose themselves during these storms or even at night. Now, it turns out the day and night cycle is the same for everyone. He then throws a big word out there called dynamic ecosystem, meaning you won't be running into the same monsters in the same locations. Now, I think that's mainly for like ads and maybe some like, I don't know, high profile targets in certain areas. But I don't think that's going to affect strongholds, which are 4-player activities where you and a team engage monsters for high-level loot. I'm pretty sure that's going to be like in set locations. I don't know, maybe it's dynamic too, so who knows. It would be nice. Like, it would be nice to be able to run into a cave and all of a sudden, bam, you're in a stronghold situation. You know what I'm saying? Now, the parties themselves, because I was interested about that, if they were going to limit the party to one of each javelin. No. If you want to rock 4 Storms or 4 Colossus, dude, go right ahead. Now, granted, there's like combos that you can do with each of the classes, so it's probably not highly suggested, but who knows? You might just break the game if you rock 4 Storms or something. Now, Anthem takes a page out of Warframe here by having something called Striders, which is your mobile base for quests, resupplies, and where you can also load out different javelins. Now, an interesting feature that he mentioned was that flying is not indefinite because you will build heat and you will be required to cool your javelin off. You saw a lot of this by people just going in the water or going through like a waterfall or something. Now, this is important because I'm assuming if you overheat your javelin, you will fall from the sky, and fall damage is a thing from what he said. So you probably want to be kind of close to the ground if you're overheating a little bit. Another interesting feature is that health does not immediately regenerate. Now you have a shield that will regenerate, but health itself will need to be acquired by killing ads and such that drop little red orbs that will bring your health back up. Now, as far as the weapons goes, I have not seen much there outside of, I know we hold 2 weapons, but most of the gameplay I saw, there was a lot more emphasis on the javelin abilities, combos that you do with other javelins and such. Now, me personally, coming from a looter shooter background, I hope there's gonna be lots of emphasis on builds and lots of emphasis on the weapons themselves that we pick up. I hope they play a big part in damage or just having outright synergy with our javelins. There is so much depth that they will need to achieve because the games that they are trying to pick a fight with, Monster Hunter, Warframe, Destiny kinda, you know what I mean? The winner in this situation, especially if your game is not going to have PvP, because Anthem has already been concluded that it's not going to have PvP at launch, it will need lots and lots of depth to drag all of these hardcore PvE players to play their game. I'm not saying that it doesn't have that type of depth, but that is a concern of mine. Now, coming from Destiny, the big concern for me is story. We don't have much of a storyline in Destiny. I think at one time there was probably a story, but we already know about the litigation that Bungie and Activision and everybody got into, and the story writer and shit like that leaving. But the universe itself in Destiny has never made a lot of sense to new players, like new players that just come in there and start playing it. It's never really stuck with them. So I was pleased to hear from Jon when he said that the game itself is built from the ground up through the lore. He then goes on to say that there's actually going to be an alliance system in the game that you'll be pledging to. The antagonist as well is known as the Dominion. And a little bit of lore here, guys. Essentially, there was an organization called the Legion of Dawn, and they were the first to ever use the Javelin armor. Long story short, I guess there was some sort of like dispute within the Legion of Dawn. The group split off from one another, and one of the groups is the Freelancers, which is what you're playing as, and the other group is the Dominion. Maybe there's other groups involved outside of those two, I don't know. But the Dominion are the bad guys, and they want to harness the power of Anthem. Now, the question was brought up during the interview was, what's the time span for the game? Because you know Bungie came out and said, we have a 10-year plan here with Destiny, and they asked the same question, do we have a 10-year plan here with Anthem? Jon Warner didn't give a time span, but he did say it is going to be a long-term game, aka for as long as the game is making money, we're going to be keeping it around. But dedicated servers ain't cheap, and if this shit starts going to rock bottom, we're closing down, boys. But a lot of people were pleased to hear that no loot boxes are going to be in the game, but there will be direct purchases, and supposedly the direct purchases are going to only affect you cosmetically. What blows my mind about this, man, I can make a whole video about cosmetics. A lot of people go, it's just cosmetics, but in an RPG game, cosmetics to me is almost as important as the weapons that I obtain in the game itself. Like the weapon and armor is really important. Cosmetics are pretty important. Look, we can't win every battle, boys. I would love it if the game was just sold and that was it. There was nothing else involved, but there will be in-game direct purchases. Hopefully, that will be a very small, subtle part of the game, and most, if not all, of the main loot will be received from within the game. Oh yeah, and for Mass Effect fans, no romance. Overall, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am excited to see what this game has to offer, but I'm probably more cautious than excited. I think the representation of the poll that I had on my channel yesterday was a good one, and it's really gonna just rely on the depth they put in the game. I know they've been working on it for a long time now. You know, when I hear that they've developed the game with vertical space in mind, the mobility factor where you're able to fly around everywhere is really cool, but I can't really tell you anything outside of that. I don't know if things are just zones and you don't necessarily have free reign in this open world that they're saying that they have. It could very well be like patrols for Destiny. It looks to be open world, but when you start zooming around, you'll get invisible barriers. So hopefully they're going to capitalize on that exploration side of things, as well as the RPG elements that they're introducing with these 4 different javelins. And I can definitely see if this game is successful, we'll see more javelins being introduced in the future. They did mention that there will be subclasses within the javelin that you can change up, especially mentioning that the Colossus itself will have things that can range from artillery to up close and personal. And these are the kind of things that I want to see on all of the javelins, but even more extensive than that. Either way it goes, boys, there's no rush. I wouldn't pre-order just yet, man. I honestly would sit back and just wait for information to keep rolling out, dude. Fellas, if you enjoyed today's video, man, definitely hit that like button. Thank you so much for everyone that came and watched today. Tell me what you think about Anthem, man. Am I overly cautious right now? Should I be more hyped for this game? It's not that I don't want to be excited for the game, but I'm definitely not going to rush myself on it. Guys, thank you so much for coming and watching the video, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.